Thank you, State Minister, for the remarkable insight of our tourism industry. Speaking of our tourism industry, did you know that Maldives won a total of 30 awards at the South Asian Travel Awards this year? Yes, we won a total of 21 gold awards and 9 silver awards. Quite the achievement, right? This makes us wonder what else could be in store for the tourism industry of the Maldives in the future. So we now have a panel discussion on the topic, Future of Tourism in Maldives. The panel will consist of tourism industry pioneers. As a first member of the panel, we have the tourism minister himself, definitely the most appropriate member for this panel discussion. Second, we have Mr. Ismail Hameed, president of the National Boating Association of Maldives. As a third panelist, we have Mr. Ahmed Jihad, corporate general manager of Cocoon Maldives. This exciting discussion will be moderated by Mr. Hussain Afeef, president of the Maldives Association of HR. So without further ado, kindly please welcome all of the panelists.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. I was just telling all of them that all the seats are good seats. They can sit anywhere they like. Well, welcome and nice to meet all of you. First of all, I want to thank the leadership team of the Accountants Forum for inviting me. As some of you have seen, know that I've spoken in the conference. So this is a great community and good to be here. So let's give yourself a round of applause, everyone. Well, before we start, it's a very important discussion we are having today because as you can see from the topic, we have economic transformation, and many of you know the exact contribution that the tourism industry plays. And just yesterday, I believe we marked the celebration of exceeding the number of tourist arrivals. Over 1,021,000 tourists that surpassed the same number as 2021. And I believe we deserve a round of applause. I mean, all of us, right? So thank you. And Minister, thank you for your work and the industry partners. Together with me today, I have Minister and also Ismail, who is the founder of the Boating Association, industry contributor, and the corporate general manager of Cocoon Maldives. Now, to start the panel discussion, I would like to start with a question around the last 50 years. So in the 50 years, we are celebrating the Maldives tourism industry. And there must be definitely some good lessons we have learned in the last 50 years. Because whenever we rethink, we have to always look at and reflect back what are the lessons we have learned previously or from the activities we have done. So I'd like to go ahead and probably Minister to open this panel discussion conversation. And what are some of the lessons, Mr. Perhaps as the industry, the most senior in charge within the government regulations that you have learned that you believe we should carry forward as we head towards the next 50 years and beyond?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Afeef. Can you hear me?
Perhaps you can use the... Yeah.
Thank you, Afeef. Yeah, I think the greatest lesson for us is that Maldivians, when we fall, we get up. That's what 50 years has told us. We have had many challenges. Recent history, last couple of years, we had the tsunami, we had a global economic crisis and the pandemic. We fall, but we get up. And who is at the center of that drive? The employees, Maldivian employees. They make us get up. So I think the biggest lesson is invest in people. The most successful businesses, most successful resorts, what do they do? We have got Mr. Jihad here. He's a Maldivian. Ismail is a Maldivian. There are many, many companies who have got as their senior executive Maldivians. A journey where companies have decided to invest in people, and today the trend is that to get the good tourists, make the guest happy, we invest in people. So I think that will be the lesson. Of course, we have got our one island, one resort concept that all of us are so proud of. That government will do everything possible to protect. Fifth master plan, other master plans. Of course, little bit of fine tuning to cater for the future tourist, but we will maintain that. Thank you, Afeef.
Good point. And just to recap what you mentioned, Mr. I think the point around the resilience and, we stand up faster than we fall. And a great story is the pandemic we've been through. Well, one of the destinations where we didn't use the approach of wait and see. We set the benchmark. Definitely in the Indian Ocean, we were the role model in there. Now, I'd like to go to Ismail on the same question around in the boating industry and with the other various engagements you are in the industry to add value to all the stakeholders. What are some of the lessons you have learned over the years that we should carry forward?
Thank you very much, Afeef. I think, first of all, boating itself, the boat's design, very much Maldivian. When we represent ourselves abroad, we resemble and represent the boats. We have a very unique design, and we have the craftsmanship from the Maldives, which we are very proud of. The wooden craft boats are none like other in the world. They are not, I would say that these are artists. These boats haven't been done stability analysis or anything, but it comes in water fine and stable. We have crossed our oceans, which consist of almost 99% of water, which I believe that transport and the marine industry is large than anything else in the Maldives. The design, from the humble beginning, Maldives boating industry began just a year after the tourism was introduced. I hope you all can see the boats which are in Holomale Lagoon. It's state of the art. We have changed ourselves, evolved service. We can cater to the world-class tourists who are coming to the Maldives, from the very basic boats to the number one. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
I see you as somebody who definitely changed the way we, as in the industry, we are referred to stakeholders. You played a key part in changing the way we once thought about the boating industry. And I think every time when I land from the seaplane, I see those boats, I actually think of you and the work your association does. Can we give the Boating Association team a round of applause? Very good. Jihad, the same question to you. I know we have had opportunities to talk a little bit about your career growth, but today is not just about that. But looking at the local leadership involvement, you are in an international brand as their corporate general manager. You must have learned series of lessons. Rather, you could write a book about it, but maybe that's for next year's Accountants Forum. Tell us about what are some of the lessons you have learned over the years that we should carry forward.
Thank you, Afeef. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Afeef, and thank you for inviting me and take part of this very important forum. I've been working in the industry for more than 20 years and representing the cocoon collection in the Maldives at the moment. Last 50 years, we have gone through so many special moments. I think the Maldives, as a whole destination, we always say one island, one resort. Everybody knows it's a nature. But the innovation, the creative minds of the Maldives tourism industry, continuously evolving, right? Personalized, meaningful, memorable experience to every individual guest. When we're building a resort, we are looking, what can we do differently? I don't know what else we can do now. We have underwater restaurants, we have underwater maybe entertainment, we have so many underwater rooms, but we keep evolving, right? Providing a memorable journey to our guests. Because this is a account, finance, I'd like to highlight the importance of our learning experience in the last, especially 15, 20 years. How well we are prepared for crisis management. We have gone through many, many global conflict, pandemic, natural disasters, tsunami, Iraq conflict, most recently, Russia, Ukraine conflict, and then pandemic. Unprecedented, right? We never even imagined the enormity of this crisis. One of the key points I would like to highlight is the supply chain. As a leader or as a leadership team members of the resort, when we have a crisis, we are looking how can we bring more guests? Are we focusing our traditional 7 countries? Or are we focusing on emerging markets? More diversified. All the presentation with State Minister, very encouraging presentation. And Minister, I'm sure, will take us through. More diversified and focus on emerging market. When we have crisis, really focus on that. And I would say, when I say supply chain, we are spending so much money, air freight, maybe Emirates, Singapore Airlines. If something happened to Singapore Airlines, Emirates, how we're going to bring our vegetables and fruits? Dubai is the main hub, right? When the next 50 years, when we're looking for innovation and different perspective, why not think about Ariatol, Baitol, Laviani? 15 resorts in these atolls have big warehouses to cater the supply chain. And one of the key learning points is the supply chain. Thank you very much.
Wonderful point. And I think looking at the reflective from the first question, if I were to add a point, one of the big lessons that we need to take forward is, which I believe all of you added that point, is the creative and innovative excellence that the Maldives, the benchmark we have set. In 1998, the first underwater restaurant in the world was built in the Maldives. In fact, it was in Rangal Island at the time, now Conrad. In fact, when the resort wanted to build and they went to the manufacturer said, "You guys are crazy. Why do you want an underwater restaurant?" Well, the rest is history. We have few underwater spas now, underwater nightclubs, right? And I think that is one of the lessons that we should be very proud of, the innovative excellence that we are taking forward. I would like to change a little bit on our next question. Certainly, I'm sure, Minister, you have highlighted that already at your opening remarks, and also Ibrahim Rashid highlighted around that the importance of people, definitely the most important stakeholder. And it is evident that we have a lot of work we need to do to develop the human capital. We have seen the ratio. The Maldives tourism industry is an international industry. Therefore, it just happened to be in the Maldives. We will need to have both the experts and the locals. So my question this round is really around, what are we going to do specifically to develop our locals and the talents in the industry? I know that, Minister, under your leadership, focused by the new master plan, there are some initiatives. So if you could please speak about some of those initiatives, and then we'll carry on with the question. Over to you, Minister.
Yeah, thank you very much. First, Jihad asked what else is going to come. I think we need a dedicated resort for financial people, for the accountants. That will have a full resort. Yeah, the human capital, while I was talking, I mentioned about the shortage, actual numbers. The government focus, President Ibrahim Soli wants the Maldivians to have top jobs. So whoever is there, we want them to be at the top of the organizational chart. Actually, in the tourism sector, 70% of the payroll, I think you will know maybe, about 70% of the payroll is taken by upper bracket of the hierarchy of the organization. So that is our focus. We want Maldivians to be in that 30% of the employment hierarchy, which has 70% of the pay. Result, less leakage, and also we can get Maldivians to do jobs they like to do. Maldivians, with their creativity, they want to be in jobs they really like to do. So perhaps in the future, we are looking at changing the quota system to give more room for jobs that people, Maldivians like. For example, butlers. Butlers, why don't we bring that up to 90% of those employees should be Maldivian? Whereas maybe for other jobs, maybe as kitchen helpers, you don't get that so many Maldivians. So let it be open. I think we must be very clear. Maldives government will work we will do everything in our capacity to ensure that all the Maldivians who want a job in tourism get their job. But open up. So, Afeef, the strategy is to train people. At the ministry, we have established training cell, and we are working on jobs. And when we say tourism jobs, what job is not included in that? All the jobs are included. We need engineers, electronic engineers, accountants, tourism accountants. That's definitely a group we need. So, huge task, but I'm sure together we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. You rightly highlighted that the focus has to be around the getting the right locus for the top league jobs. But the good news is, I'm sure many of you in the room probably would also agree with me that over the last 5 years, there has been a great change in this. For example, 5 years, when you look at 5 years ago, in a lot of the resorts, the sales and marketing directors or senior marketing managers are, experts. And now when you look at there are 170 resorts in the Maldives, of which about 60% is all international brands, and of which 40% of those resorts, the director of sales and marketing are Maldivians. And that is a great achievement. Yeah, let's give a round of applause. That's a good thing to celebrate.
Afeef, may I just interrupt?
Please.
Because
Yes, go ahead.
I missed,
Yeah.
because now boating industry is one very popular industry, because boating industry takes tourists to the people where you have never been. And I had a chat with Ismail. So I want Ismail to point on that one about the difficulty he has on recruiting, especially captains and other people to the boat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is something we have to celebrate. So I have no doubt when you look 5 years probably from now on, or 10 years, when we're having probably maybe the 15th or the 12th accountants forum, please invite us. We'll come and give the figures. Whereby maybe 50% of the resorts will have local general managers. Who knows? Right, that's our vision. It's a boating industry. You and I had a very good discussion about the tough times you had in bringing locals and changing the perception. And there's definitely a lot of work you are doing in terms of developing people, bringing more people, right? Because the best people that can actually get into these boats and be in the Maldivian waters are certainly our people here. So tell us about some initiatives you are running around to develop the locals, and what are some of your thoughts around this?
Thank you again, Afeef. As Minister Mausoom has just mentioned, this is a very big task for the boating industry. I think the opportunities has been scattered now. People can work by staying at home. Tourism has reached almost all the islands. We have a challenge in getting captains, which is very true. In fact, we sent out letters to all the island councils of the Maldives that we are happy to fund and train captains, and then please kindly get us the details of persons who are interested. We got 6. Wow, right? And then the community requests us to give jobs for the locals. We have about 140, 50 boats. Along with each boat, there is a dive boat, which also requires a captain. By law, we can have only locals. Do we have that number of captains trained in the country, or are we running illegally with unlicensed guys? The show is going on. Something is happening. Either way, the show is going on. So the point is that we don't get that much of captains to be employed. Then there's the other side of it as well. I think the businesses has to empower locals by paying a little more, because the opportunities, again, as I mentioned earlier, has scattered. So to make them sustain in their jobs in these current positions where they cannot reach homes all the time, to be paid a little more. Currently, the captains whom we had in this industry are being employed by resorts which are opening in all the areas where these captains can go home easily. Obviously, everyone would be interested in working in a place where they can reach their families much easier. In a boat, it's really, really tough. You have to work really hard. And then the other part is to train people to this industry. Well, being, again, I have to mention this, in an ocean-based country, we have never trained leisure crew trainings ever in the Maldives, which is a sad part. When we planned tourism studies, we had the hotel schools, but we never had it. We don't have a single local crew in a passenger line, which is sad to say. But there are people from Nepal who are working on passenger lines where they come from, a mountain destination. I was happy to have met with the president recently and also with the minister. We have discussed, I think the government's plan is to develop crew who can have a part of hospitality training. Also, it's not just a deckhand. A person who walks on a liverboard, we call it liverboard, no longer safari boards, okay? A person who walks on a liverboard shouldn't be trained only as a deckhand. That's not a boy to carry your things, just he must be a trained professional. He must love the job he does. And then we are very lack of women working on this industry. There are some divers who randomly comes on ad hoc basis and go back, but we don't get women, especially even to the resorts boating sector. But there are a handful of girls who are ready for the job, getting on riding speedboats now. We can see a little bit. I think the trend has to change, and then the main problem with the boating industry is that we cannot accommodate even girls and boys together because these boats are really small. It's not like the big cruise ships. And then there are social issues, there are accommodation issues and stuff. So we need to design and come up, the boat owners and the industry has to develop a plan where we can accommodate both genders and provide equal opportunity as well. But then again, I want to mention, as Afeef said, there is a challenge even right now today. Then again, recently I called up all the members of our organization whether they have vacancies, and then I would find captains for them. I got 2. Means that they have enough captains, or else they don't want locals. This is also there. So I think both part has to be adjusted well, and then we need to train more leisure boat captains. Right now, what happens on this normal captain course is that you have to just do a captain course on a supply boat and you become a captain of a safari boat or river boat that you have no clue of the industry. So when you want to become a captain of a cruise boat, which caters to the leisure industry, you need to be trained for that. You need to add a component to it. In fact, I'm sad to say this. I've had a couple of meetings. I've been running from door to door, knocking on them, asking for help. I met with the higher education minister who was very willing to, do something. I went to the skill development and I forgot the name, governmental institution. Unfortunately, they said there's no budget for it. And then at last, I think the minister and the president is very willing to plan something and come back to us. Very sad, the boating industry celebrates 50 years next year, and then we don't have a proper training, neither number of staffs to cater to this industry. But we are going on. Thanks.
Good point, and I believe reflecting on your points, suddenly there is a need for developing these professionals. And I always say, and you rightly mentioned that a deckman doesn't just have to be a deckman. He should be able to do different tasks on the boat, right? And the professionalism of the job is defined by the person who does the job. And anyone could be an accountant, anyone could be an HR professional, anyone could be a boating association member, but the professionalism is defined by the person who does it. I think that's what we need to train on. And as I represent the HR Association of Modis, I guarantee you is said that we'll support you fully together with the ministry and the government mandate. We'll support you fully with that. Jihad, thank you, Minister. Jihad, in the resort industry, certainly we focus a lot on training our people. But the industry is changing. The needs are changing. We have a new generation coming and working with us. Their demands are different. What are some of the initiatives that in the resort industry as a general matter that you see that we focus on developing the people? If you could speak about that.
I reckon this is one of the main topic. Whenever we have the tourism discussion, we talk about the growth and development of local talents. Innovative, passionate local talents, what we are looking for. The question is why we are not getting people, Maldivian people. And what are the things what we are doing in the resort as the leaders, as companies, to develop, to attract local talents to come to join the tourism industry. As the many resorts and also many companies have started apprentice programs, cross-training programs, and different training programs as well. But I am hoping when we talk about the next 50 years, at the moment we have 166 resorts in operation. Hopefully, with the collaboration of Ministry of Tourism, all the stakeholders cohesively together come and agree. 10 to 15 students finish O-level or A-level, they have to join in the resort. 10 to 15 students and sponsor as an apprentice. It can be 6 months, it can be 1 year. That means every year, at least from this program, 1,500 to 2,000. Local talents, trained, well-trained people, they will have the opportunity to choose which field they like to choose. Is it water sports? Is it diving? Is it information technology? Is it finance? Or is it pastry? They have the ability to choose because they can see different departments as well. Right now, we as a Cocoon Collection, 3 months before we inaugurate our Cocoon Foundation, one of the core pillar of Cocoon Foundation is growth and development of local talents. Our company is a foreign company, but the owners always remind me, Jay, I want key positions, local talents. I want invest, give back to the community. At the moment, we have in Laviani and Raitol, 2 resorts, and hopefully very soon in Maldives. We have done many programs in collaboration with Atoll Council, Island Council, to bring young generation. And most importantly, we have to conduct awareness programs, field trips. Always we say, we are the people. And one of the presentation, O-level, 6,000 students. Where are these 6,000 students? Hotel school, every year. And all other faculties. And where are all these talents? Is it only civil service or private? Or hopefully they are entrepreneurs doing own business. But we need to really find a way to attract young talents join the industry. And a lot of resorts are focusing on training and development programs and also identify the existing talents. There are a number of people who are working for 10 years, 15 years. They know the job, but sometimes to go to the next level, especially international brands, you need qualification recognition. How can you get the qualification recognition? Online, short-term programs, and also universities are offering as well. So as a Maldivian, we need to also invest our time to enhance our knowledge. We say sometimes refresher courses. So it is very important as part of the program that qualification, enhancement, and then we will have more opportunity to come to the next level as well. But together, we have to really do more to bring young Maldivians to join this industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay, for sharing that and also for the good work that your organization is doing. And to wrap up on that question, I'm sure the accountants, you will probably do the calculation when I give you the numbers. Just imagine of 170 resorts in the Maldives, about 50 resorts are operated and managed by international hotel chains. And you send 2 locals every year on cross-exposure. That's 100 locals every year. Because what the locals are lacking is the exposure part. Because having a qualification is one thing, the experience is one thing. And believe this is, again, a strategy that needs to be put forward. I'm sure Minister, in various discussion we'll have, we probably will continue. Here's another example. 50 resorts, apprenticeship program every year, 10 students. That's 500 new experienced employees into the industry. Because we're talking about rethinking the economic transformation. We have to rethink how we do things. Because doing the same thing over and over again, looking for a different result, it won't happen. Now, to the last question. We're pretty much good on timing today, so we're perfectly fine here. So we can comfortably answer this question. Obviously, looking beyond this year, we had a wonderful year of celebrating the Maldives 50th tourism anniversary and the celebration. And before I actually go to this question, I also would like to take a moment to really thank the Ministry of Tourism team for having those events every other day. So can we give a round of applause to the ministry team and the work they do? I think it was fantastic. Certainly there are challenges ahead, Minister. What are some of the challenges that you see moving forward, and how do we intend to address them from a government standpoint of it?
Yeah, thank you. I want to start with what Jihad said on previous point. The supply chain. We manage the supply chain. Often I tell sometimes in some forums, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. That's what Maldives tourism industry partners did. That's what pioneers did. That's what resort managements did. That's what travel agencies and other tourism partners did. That's what employees did. Remember the days we were locked in the room in Malé and other islands. Your best, you could order something, some food supplies, some groceries. But resorts, they managed. The world was closed. But they let the supply continue. That was tough. But when it was tough, the Maldivian tourism industry partners, they showed they are tougher. They got going. And today, all this is quoted as the world's #1 example of sailing through the pandemic. So thank you all. Then in the future, I think the biggest challenge is now we have got the world's leading destination award. That's our pioneer Afeef mentioned, or other pioneers also said so. It's getting a #1 is, okay, you celebrate, but then you have to maintain that #1. That is the challenge. So future developments is, I think, where we have to focus. That's where we have to change our legislation where necessary. Make sure that we keep our #1 presence in the world. What is the next product? I can't tell you, but I tell you, we have been approached by investors with superb products that is guaranteed to keep Maldives as a leading destination. But for that also, the biggest challenge is the one that we discussed mainly. You can copy a blueprint, copy a structure, but what you can't copy is the essence of the service industry. I remember in one of the speeches, what Afeef referred as events we held, our president mentioned that we should always keep focus on our hospitality, Maldivian hospitality. So that is where, to give the Maldivian hospitality, you have to have Maldivians. Then the other biggest challenge is maintaining the ownership. We have to make sure that ownership is retained in the Maldives. That doesn't mean that we unwelcome foreign investment. We welcome foreign investment, but we keep ownership of the Maldivians in the tourism product, tourism services. So that will be the future. That's where we have to target. The biggest challenge, of course, getting finance, but let's find a way to get finance. And I think the future business should understand that accounting is important. Compliance is good. It's much better to let proper compliance be in place, start proper accounting, make sure that everything is counted. And when you do that counting, make sure that you give a very high percentage for your ESG to employment. In the Maldives, when you count something, say, how much do they invest? That's why, as our State Minister Ibrahim Rashid in his speech mentioned about the awards we introduced. Many of the awards are towards how much you do to invest in people. So, future of the Maldives tourism is bright because we have global partners. We have good international relations. We have great connectivity. And now that Maldives is popular, Maldives is #1, individual developers are thinking of what can we do to be different. That's what Jihad mentioned. What can we do to be different? So I told you before also, to be different, Jihad, open a resort for accountants, for financial people. Thank you.
Wow, wonderful. That's encouraging. Let's give a round of applause to the government mandate around it. And I think the key point I'd like to take is on that, we are the leading destination and how to stay as the leading destination, which means all industry partners must play the 120% effort to keep going, and I'm sure we will do that, and we are encouraged by your words. Isse, to the boating industry, suddenly you already highlighted a couple of challenges, lack of the right manpower, the lack of the regulation, and so on and so forth. What are some of the other challenges that you foresee as we move forward?
Okay, that's a very good question. The industry has always been raised this issue, concern about the finance. I don't know how to mention this, but these products are insured products. These products are valued at $1 plus $2 million. The banks doesn't consider this as guarantees, and it has become a very big challenge. If you want to get a finance for your new boat, you still have to put a land-based product as a guarantee, which becomes a very big challenge in a country where, again, 99% is water. Our main base is water. We are selling water. We are selling our ocean and our beauty to the world. We don't guarantee our land, but we are selling this. And about the boating industry's expansion, that is one of the biggest challenges which we have. We, in fact, have several discussions with the banks. I think, as your slogan goes, they have to rethink the whole thing now. Because if the industry has to go out of the box and build the capacity, they need finance as well. And the other part which I want to highlight is that Maldives celebrated 50 years of tourism in the central Malay area, I would say. That has to change. That has to rethink and change very much. We have opened a lot of domestic airports, but the connections are huge, absurd prices, expensive. A tourist can reach Addu for $400 plus, where he can go to Abu Dhabi for $100 now, I believe, with visa, something 100 plus. So it has to change. Unless diversification comes, we cannot spread tourism. We can build a lot of things, but it is not feasible. I've seen on news that Fly Dubai has planned to land in Addu soon, commencing from February. This needs a lot of connections to the south, down south, and frequent flights and a reasonable price. Unless otherwise, this won't be feasible. Sri Lankan Airlines has been flying to Ghana, I don't know how, sometimes with 5 guests, sometimes with 10, sometimes I don't know how they're doing it. And the people of Addu needs to invest for beds. Because when Fly Dubai comes, you cannot just keep on complaining that there are no flights, no flights, no flights. You need to go out and promote as well, like other local islands are doing. The people of South needs to invest and also go abroad and promote their products. And the segments, resorts and boats and guest houses needs to cooperate each other. We have been charged $500 a night to enter Formula Lagoon, because Formula, the island, believes that only their guests should see the tiger sharks down there. The thinking has to go away. You know, if we have to bring the flights there to make figures to this country, we need to work together. If you are charging for a harbor, I am aware that the charges are based on the size of the vessel and the time consumed, not by the color of the boat. It's strange and crazy. And yesterday somebody told me that you shouldn't have liquor on the boat. We are a very open destination which promotes tourism. And then I think we should be very much focused on this. In a forum like this, I would like to mention the manpower is a challenge. Financing is a challenge for the boating sector. The connectivity, the domestic transport has to come cheaper than it is, especially for the tourism sector. More frequent flights, otherwise regional transports will not, regional destinations, businesses won't work. It's very expensive to go to Addu from Malé. Most of the international flights come to Malé, and to fly from Malé to southern Maldives is crazy. Suppose like we are promoting surfing tourism, I don't have much time, but I would like to say it short. Like we do a lot of surfing in outer atolls, we call it in southern Maldives. To get someone to Gafdal or Addu or somewhere is crazy, you know. We can't get guaranteed transfers to that place. We can get the tourists to Malé, but we cannot guarantee them to the south. So how can we do this? We have had, conversations a lot with tourism industry stakeholders, Mati and then Matato and other organizations, and working very much together. Ministry's help is there, but I think whole to whole, everyone needs to rethink and change their mindset from finance to the whole execution.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe what you just highlighted is collective effort is required in all these challenges to rethink. Instead of thinking what is in it for me versus what is in it for us refers to all stakeholders, rightly mentioned. And to Jihad, to the same question, as we move forward with the industry from an industry employee, I would say, what are some of the challenges that you see, you foresee, and how we intend to perhaps address them? Maybe with the interest of the time, perhaps one or two challenges and update on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Maldives, we are promoting paradise, underwater, marine, beautiful world. Waste management, one of the biggest challenges. Some of you have been in the resorts. Close to resort, we have beautiful sandbanks. We have islands. When the guests go for snorkeling, they see plastic bottles and waste. Diving, beautiful reef, plastic, waste. All these sandbanks full of waste. And how can we manage every forum, every discussion, every government, every stakeholder? We talk about last 15 years, waste management, waste management. But please, if you go even today to a resort close by local islands, all these plastic bottles are lagoon and the beach. We have to keep 24 hours beach cleaners in our resorts. The waste and the plastic bottles is one of the key challenges we face. What are we going to do? I would encourage the Maldives tourism, of course, Maldives tourism stakeholders. They are developing many innovative ideas as well. But we have to identify different zones, waste management centers, local islands. They have already started, the council have started effective waste management systems. So that's one of the key. The other point, I would just make it very short. We already talk about the shortage of labor market. But because this is an account forum, tickets, recruitment costs gone up by 40%. And it can even further increase with these global conflicts and many challenges. So recruitment cost, tickets. So if you are bringing 70% of our staff from foreign countries, of course we need foreign expertise as well. But right now we are really struggling the labor market, especially the locals. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I think you and me as employees, I think we have to rethink these topics, the waste management and training our people. Suddenly a good day to rethink those things. As we're almost up to the time, Minister, I would like to hear a closing remark from you on the topic we have discussed and how you foresee. So just closing remarks from you, Minister.
Thank you very much. I think I wish to thank CA for organizing this one and giving me the chance. I think you are the most influential people whom you can convince boards to make decisions that are good for the country, and that is needed. But at the end of the day, profit is important, but I think long-term profit is more important, and they will believe you. Okay, so please, in your consultation, please assert the point that today the country's government, especially Maldives, needs companies' input to ESG. They also make sure that you train more accountants. I think accountants are a very nice job. People love it. It's fashionable, nice dress, outlook, fancy restaurants, and everybody is scared of you, so that's a good job. Okay. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I wish a very successful forum, and also I wish success to the tourism industry. I take this opportunity to thank everybody who has contributed to the Maldives tourism industry from its inception to till today, and I hope that your undivided support and engagement will always be for the Maldives tourism industry so that we shine as a global destination. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Quick closing remarks from Isse. If you could keep it short, it would be great.
Thank you very much. I think it's a great opportunity to share what we hear today. And then especially since I've been given the opportunity to say something over here in this panel, I would like to recommend all the boating industry members to have professional consultations and to keep your books in order if you want to grow the business. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Isse. And Jihad, that's a closing remark from you, please.
Golden Jubilee, 50 years of successful. We say we have to celebrate our success, but when we celebrate our success, every time we have to raise the bar a little bit higher because the challenges ahead of us is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. We should not be complacent, but focus on our targets and objectives. The tourism industry in the Maldives looks promising. International airport, we are so excited. The expansion of the international airport, more option on seaplane, regional airports, and recently RTL, the transport, easy traveling. While we are so positive, promising, but as we should never lose our focus on the challenges ahead of us. So definitely, we look a lot of positivity in the future as well. Big international brands are coming to invest in the Maldives. And just now, Minister mentioned something very exciting as well. And we're expecting around 5 to 10 new resorts the next 10 years. So definitely, big investments, more innovative ideas, and the forums like this, last comment is because a lot of creative minds here. We have tourism trust fund maybe, which help as well. But why not think about tourism investment bank? Can support the finance. Everybody needs finance. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, great idea for you to think during the rest of the forum. I also like to end the conversation with a closing remark in around the compliance and call the people leaders, HR professionals. And I want to share a short story. This is my 17th year in the human resources and working in hotel industry. And obviously in our business, we had to fire people at times. But never any employee that we have fired or that we've asked to leave have gone to the tribunal or court anywhere. And you know why? Because a practice that I always follow is first before, regardless of what happens, we had to make sure the right audits are done when it comes to the employee law, the existing law, and now we do a risk. Every single time when an employee we had to fire, we do a risk assessment. Because when you do the right risk assessment, there's no way an employee will go to any other court. With that thought, and if you ask me who did I learn that from? I learned that from the accountants, right? So, and that is exactly a call that I would ask for the people professionals because everybody here leads people. And once again, I would like to thank Minister for joining with us. This wonderful conversation. Isse for sharing your insights. Certainly, we will help you to get going. And Jihad, bringing that idea of bank to invest in the industry. I'm sure the leaders of the accountants and the forum in charges will take care. Once again, I want to thank CA Modis for giving me the opportunity. And tomorrow, late afternoon, we have a closing keynote. We'll bring in a speaker, Kirpa Shankar, just for you. I look forward to seeing all of you. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely rest of the day, and may God bless all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, panel members, for the fruitful and interactive discussion. We would like to award a token of appreciation for all panel members and presenter for your time and engagement. For that, I would like to kindly call upon AG Mr. Hussain Niazi. I invite State Minister Mr. Ibrahim Rashid and all panelists back on stage. Honorable Minister. State Minister, Mr. Ibrahim Rashid. Mr. Ismail Hameed. Mr. Jihad. Mr. Afeef. Thank you all.